Numbers, chapter 21. Israel destroys Arad. The Canaanite king in the city of Arad lived in the Negev desert. He heard that Israel was coming along the road to Atharim. So he attacked the Israelites. He captured some of them. Then Israel made a promise to the Lord. They said, "Hand these people over to us. If you do, we will set their cities apart to you in a special way to be destroyed." The Lord gave Israel what they asked for. He handed the Canaanites over to them. Israel completely destroyed them and their towns. So that place was named Hormah. Moses makes a bronze snake. The Israelites traveled from Mount Hor along the way to the Red Sea. They wanted to go around Edom, but they grew tired on the way. So they spoke against God and against Moses. They said, "Why have you brought us out of Egypt? Do you want us to die here in the desert? We don't have any bread. We don't have any water, and we hate this awful food." Then the Lord sent poisonous snakes among the Israelites. The snakes bit them. Many of the people died. The others came to Moses. They said, "We sinned when we spoke against the Lord and against you. Pray that the Lord will take the snakes away from us." So Moses prayed for the people. The Lord said to Moses, "Make a snake, put it up on a pole, then anyone who is bitten can look at it and remain alive." So Moses made a bronze snake. He put it on a pole. Then anyone who was bitten by a snake and looked at the bronze snake remained alive. The people continued on to Moab. The Israelites moved on. They camped at Oboth. Then they started out from Oboth. They camped in Abarim. It's in the desert on the eastern border of Moab. From there they moved on. They camped in the Zered Valley. They started out from there and camped by the Arnon River. It's in the desert that spreads out into the territories of the Amorites. The Arnon is the border of Moab. It's between Moab and the Amorites. Here's what the book of the wars of the Lord says about it. Sing about Zahab and Supa and the valleys. Sing about the Arnon and the slopes of the valleys. They lead to the settlement called Ar. They lie along the border of Moab. From there the Israelites continued on to Beer. That was the well where the Lord spoke to Moses. He said, "Gather the people together. I will give them water to drink." Then Israel sang a song. They said, "Spring up, you well. Sing about it. Sing about the well the princes dug. Sing about the well the nobles of the people dug. All their rulers were holding their scepters and walking sticks." Then the Israelites went from the desert to Mattanah. They went from Mattanah to Nahalil. They went from Nahalil to Bamoth. And they went from Bamoth to a valley in Moab. It's the valley where the highest slopes of Pisgah look out over dry and empty land. Israel wins the battle over Sihon and Og. The Israelites sent messengers to speak to Sihon. He was the king of the Amorites. The messengers said to him, "Let us pass through your country. We won't go off the road into any field or vineyard. We won't drink water from any well. We'll travel along the king's highway. We'll just go straight through your territory." But Sihon wouldn't let Israel pass through his territory. He gathered his whole army together. Then he marched out into the desert against Israel. When he reached Jahaz, he fought against Israel. But Israel put him to death with their swords. They took over his land. They took everything from the Arnon River to the Jabbok River. But they didn't take over any of the land of the Ammonites. That's because the Ammonites had built strong forts along their border. The Israelites captured all the cities of the Amorites. Then they settled down in them. They captured the city of Heshbon. They also captured all the settlements around it. Sihon, the king of the Amorites, ruled in Heshbon. He had fought against an earlier king of Moab. Sihon had taken from him all his land all the way to the Arnon River. That's why the poets say, "Come to Heshbon, let it be built again, let Sihon's city be made as good as new." Fire went out from Heshbon, a blaze out from the city of Sihon. It burned up Ar and in Moab. It burned up the citizens who lived on Arnon's hills. Moab, how terrible it is for you. People of Chemosh, you are destroyed. Chemosh has deserted his sons and daughters. His sons have run away from the battle. His daughters have become prisoners. He has handed all of them over to Sihon, the king of the Amorites. But we have taken them over. Heshbon's rule has been destroyed all the way to Dibon. We have destroyed them as far as Nopah. Nopah goes all the way to Medeba. So Israel settled in the land of the Amorites. Moses sent spies to the city of Jazer. The Israelites captured the settlements around it. They drove out the Amorites who were there. Then they turned and went up along the road toward Bashan. Og was the king of Bashan. He and his whole army marched out. They went to fight against Israel at Edreel. The Lord said to Moses, "Do not be afraid of Og. I have handed him over to you. I have given you his whole army. I have also given you his land. Do to him what you did to Sihon, the king of the Amorites. He ruled in Heshbon." So the Israelites struck down Og and his sons, and they wiped out his whole army. They didn't leave anyone alive. They took over his land for themselves. Numbers chapter 22. Balak sends for Balaam. Then the Israelites traveled to the plains of Moab. They camped along the Jordan River across from Jericho. Balak saw everything that Israel had done to the Amorites. Balak was the son of Zippor. The Moabites were terrified because there were so many Israelites. In fact, the Moabites were filled with panic because of the Israelites. The Moabites spoke to the elders of Midian. They said, "This huge mob is going to destroy everything around us. They'll lick it up as an ox licks up all the grass in the fields." Balak, the son of Zippor, was the king of Moab at that time. He sent messengers to get Balaam. Balaam was the son of Beor. Balaam was at the city of Pethor near the Euphrates River. Pethor was in the land where Balaam had been born. Balak told the messengers to say to Balaam, "A nation has come out of Egypt. They are covering the face of the land. They set up a camp next to me. So come and put a curse on these people. They are too powerful for me. Maybe I'll be able to win the battle over them. Maybe I'll be able to drive them out of the land. I know that whoever you bless is blessed, and I know that whoever you cursed is cursed." The elders of Moab and Midian left. They took with them the money they knew Balaam would ask for. They wanted him to use evil magic to figure things out for them. They came to where Balaam was, and they told him what Balak had said. "Spend the night here," Balaam said to them. "I'll report back to you with the answer the Lord gives me." So the Moabite official stayed with him. God came to Balaam. He asked, "Who are these men with you?" Balaam said to God, "Balak, king of Moab, the son of Zippor, sent me a message. He said, 'A nation has come out of Egypt. They are covering the whole surface of the land. So come and put a curse on them for me. Maybe I'll be able to fight them. Maybe I'll be able to drive them away.' But God said to Balaam, 'Do not go with them. You must not put a curse on those people. I have blessed them.' The next morning Balaam got up. He said to Balak's officials, 'Go back to your own country. The Lord won't let me go with you.' So the Moabite officials returned to Balak. They said, 'Balaam wouldn't come with us.' Then Balak sent other officials. They were more important than the first ones, and there were more of them. They came to Balaam. They said, 'Balak, the son of Zippor, says, "Don't let anything keep you from coming to me. I'll make you very rich. I'll do anything you say. So come and put a curse on those people for me." But Balaam gave them his answer. He said, "Balak could give me all the silver and gold in his palace. Even then, I still couldn't do anything at all that goes beyond what the Lord my God commands. Now spend the night here so that I can find out what else the Lord will tell me." That night God came to Balaam. He said, "These men have come to get you, so go with them, but do only what I tell you to do." Balaam's donkey. Balaam got up in the morning. He put a saddle on his donkey. Then he went with the Moabite officials. But God was very angry when Balaam went. So the angel of the Lord stood in the road to oppose him. Balaam was riding on his donkey. His 2 servants were with him. The donkey saw the angel of the Lord standing in the road. The angel was holding a sword. He was ready for battle. So the donkey left the road and went into a field. Balaam hit the donkey. He wanted to get it back on the road. Then the angel of the Lord stood in a narrow path. The path went through the vineyards. There were walls on both sides. The donkey saw the angel of the Lord, so it moved close to the wall. It crushed Balaam's foot against the wall, so he hit the donkey again. Then the angel of the Lord moved on ahead. He stood in a narrow place. There was no room to turn either right or left. The donkey saw the angel of the Lord, so it lay down under Balaam. That made him angry. He hit the donkey with his walking stick. Then the Lord opened the donkey's mouth. It said to Balaam, "What have I done to you? Why did you hit me these 3 times?" Balaam answered the donkey. He said, "You have made me look foolish. I wish I had a sword in my hand. If I did, I'd kill you right now." The donkey said to Balaam, "I'm your own donkey. I'm the one you have always ridden. Haven't you been riding me this very day? Have I ever made you look foolish before?" "No," he said. Then the Lord opened Balaam's eyes. He saw the angel of the Lord standing in the road. He saw that the angel was holding a sword. The angel was ready for battle. So Balaam bowed down. He fell with his face to the ground. The angel of the Lord spoke to him. He asked him, "Why have you hit your donkey 3 times? I have come here to oppose you. What are you doing? What you are doing is foolish." The donkey saw me. It turned away from me 3 times. Suppose it had not turned away. Then I certainly would have killed you by now, but I would have spared the donkey. Balaam said to the angel of the Lord, "I have sinned. I didn't realize you were standing in the road to oppose me. Tell me whether you are pleased with me. If you aren't, I'll go back." The angel of the Lord said to Balaam, "Go with the men, but say only what I tell you to say." So Balaam went with Balak's officials. Balak heard that Balaam was coming, so he went out to meet him. They met at a Moabite town near the Arnon River. The town was on the border of Balak's territory. Balak said to Balaam, "Didn't I send messengers to you? I wanted you to come quickly. So why didn't you come? I can make you very rich." "Well, I've come to you now," Balaam replied, "but I can't say whatever I please. I can only speak the words God puts into my mouth." Then Balaam went with Balak to Kiriath Huzoth. Balak sacrificed cattle and sheep. He gave some to Balaam. He also gave some to the officials with him. The next morning Balak took Balaam up to Bamoth Baal. From there he could see the outer edges of the Israelite camp. Numbers chapter 23, Balaam's first message from God. Balaam said to Balak, "Build me 7 altars here. Prepare 7 bulls and 7 rams for me to sacrifice." Balak did just as Balaam said. The 2 of them offered a bull and a ram on each altar. Then Balaam said to Balak, "Stay here beside your offering. I'll go and try to find out what the Lord wants me to do. Maybe he'll come and meet with me. Then I'll tell you what he says to me." So Balaam went off to a bare hilltop. God met with him there. Balaam said, "I've prepared 7 altars. On each altar I've offered a bull and a ram." The Lord put a message in Balaam's mouth. The Lord said, "Go back to Balak and give him my message." So Balaam went back to him. He found Balak standing beside his offering. All the Moabite officials were with him. Then Balaam spoke the message he had received from God. He said, Balak brought me from the land of Aram. The king of Moab sent for me from the mountains in the east. Come, he said, put a curse on Jacob's people for me. Come, speak against Israel. But how can I put a curse on the people God hasn't cursed? How can I speak against people the Lord hasn't spoken against? I see them from the rocky peaks. I view them from the hills. I see a group of people who live by themselves. They don't consider themselves to be one of the nations. Jacob's people are like the dust of the earth. Can dust be counted? Who can count even a fourth of the Israelites? Let me die as godly people die. Let my death be like theirs. Balak said to Balaam, What have you done to me? I brought you here to put a curse on my enemies, but all you have done is give them a blessing. He answered, I have to speak only the words the Lord puts in my mouth. Balaam's second message from God. Then Balak said to Balaam, Come with me to another place. You can see the Israelites from there. You won't see all of them. You will only see the outer edges of their camp. From there, put a curse on them for me. So Balak took Balaam to the field of Zophim. It was on the highest slopes of Pisgah. There Balak built 7 altars. He offered a bull and a ram on each altar. Balaam said to Balak, Stay here beside your offering. I'll meet with the Lord over there. The Lord met with Balaam. He put a message in Balaam's mouth. The Lord said, Go back to Balak. Give him my message. So Balaam went to Balak. He found him standing beside his offering. The Moabite officials were with him. Balak asked him, What did the Lord say? Then Balaam spoke the message he had received from God. He said, Balak, rise up and listen. Son of Ziphor, hear me. God isn't a mere human. He can't lie. He isn't a human being. He doesn't change his mind. He speaks, and then he acts. He makes a promise, and then he keeps it. He has commanded me to bless Israel. He has given them his blessing, and I can't change it. I don't see any trouble coming on the people of Jacob. I don't see any suffering in Israel. The Lord their God is with them. The shout of the king is among them. God brought them out of Egypt. They are as strong as wild ox. There isn't any magic that can hurt the people of Jacob. No one can use magic words to harm Israel. Here's what will be said about the people of Jacob. Here is what will be said about Israel. People will say, See what God has done? The Israelites are going to wake up like a female lion. They are going to get up like a male lion. They are like a lion that won't rest until it eats what it has caught. They are like a lion that won't rest until it drinks the blood of what it has killed. Then Balak said to Balaam, Don't put a curse on them at all, and don't give them a blessing at all. Balaam answered, Didn't I tell you that I must do only what the Lord says? Balaam's third message from God. Then Balak said to Balaam, Come, let me take you to another place. Perhaps God will be pleased to let you put a curse on the Israelites for me from there. Balak took Balaam to the top of Mount Peor. It looks out over a dry and empty land. Balaam said, Build me 7 altars here. Prepare 7 bulls and 7 rams for me to sacrifice. Balak did just as Balaam said. He offered a bull and a ram on each altar.